remember me. I remember you too. You stole my heart, so I'm gonna steal you for the first time in weeks. I feel good for the first time in weeks.
Hello and welcome to Show House. I'm your host, Kura Chiota, and together we're going to travel through the country looking at the up-and-coming and already trendy areas that we all want to live in. We chat to the experts and get some guidance on where to buy, when to sell, and how you can make the best choices when diving into the property market. Coming up on today's show, we take a tour of one of Johannesburg's trendiest suburbs, Parkhurst, just to see what it is that makes it such an appealing place to live. Our illustrious panel and I take a look at one of our viewers' homes. We find out what burning property questions are keeping our viewers awake at night, and take a look at our inspirational property of the week. If you would like us to evaluate your property, or if you've got any questions regarding the buying or selling of your home, email us the pictures and your questions to the email address on your screen. For what's hot and happening, follow Home Channel SA on Twitter as well as on Facebook and use the hashtag ShowHouse. Before we get started, let's meet the panel of our experts. Aidan Bennett from Aidan Bennett's Interiors will be dishing out ideas on how to improve your home's interior design or the cosmetic elements to maximize its value. Ryan Chaitovitz from Jarvis Property with all of the hard property information that you've been wondering about. And to keep things light and fluffy, a man, in my opinion, who needs virtually no introduction, but hey, I'll introduce him anyway, Mr. Mark Banks. Let's dive into the suburb, Parkhurst. On the ground, what do you know about the area, Ryan?
Parkhurst is a very trendy, very arty suburb, great cafes, great restaurants, always a lot of excitement, always a good vibe. The odd antique store. From a property perspective, it's one of those suburbs where the demand always exceeds the supply, and hence great price growth over the past few years.
Aidan, the space of Parkhurst design, changing, what are the vibes? What are people doing in that space?
I believe it's quite a small suburb but very densely populated, and it's become quite a hub for design and decor, obviously with its two primary streets, 4th Avenue and 6th Avenue.
Mark,
yes.
You walked down there.
Many times.
You met some people there.
Many
do
times.
A few things
in
there.
fact, I think there's a TV sitcom, a TV soap that's on, isn't it? They've taken
It looks like
the coffee shop from there.
It looks
is
like
a sitcom, and I am in those opening credits, sitting in that coffee shop.
Ah, I've seen you there. Yes.
Yes. Isn't it amazing?
Very good.
And that was because I was looking at property in Parkhurst, because where I live in Johannesburg, our nearest shop is miles and miles and miles away. Parkhurst has that sort of village feel of being accessible for newspapers, and the quick corner shop thing I think is important, and also I think a very important thing, crime. They've seemed to sort of got it under control. Have they? Yes? You see everyone looking very nervously?
Yeah, closely monitored. They've got specific security companies that specialise in the area, which constantly patrol. They try and keep it quite tight-knit. I know they've also got a strong residents association, which always helps as well.
Well, we took an in-depth look into Parkhurst to see exactly what it is that makes this neighborhood such a gem. Take a look at this.
Well, in here, it's
Excellent,
good.
thank
Come
you.
through.
Thank you, fantastic.
Welcome.
Tell me a bit of the history of how you got into this unique space.
Parkhurst at the time, in the 80s, 90s, was majority antique dealerships. There was fish and chip shops, we had post offices, we had petrol stations, we had fruit and veg vendors, and I would say around the mid-90s, when we opened, we were one of the very first in Parkhurst. Nobody thought it would work. When I was building the shop, people were asking me, what are you opening here? A video shop, a takeaway? I said, no, a little bistro. And they said, where are they going to sit? I said, on the pavement. And they said, but who eats on the pavement?
So how does Parkhurst then differ from something like Parktown North? Because that's got a vibe going as well. And people are wanting to live there, work there. It's quite a trendy spot.
Well, Parkhurst lends itself in terms of the street. All the stores face each other. So the atmosphere is much cozier. I used to say Parkhurst was the place for the newlywed and the nearly dead. All the old people used to live in Parkhurst. If you saw an ambulance go up the main road, people, especially estate agents, would chase it because they knew they were getting a good deal and a good property, so-called golden oldie, and would go in the market straight away. And then you'd find the younger generation moving in, renovating, but eventually finding when the kids came that the properties were just too small. But the dynamics have changed drastically over the last decade.
Parkhurst is the place to be because of the vibe. It's always busy. There's enough places to go in one evening that will have you going for the rest of the night. And my friends enjoy it too. So
I think Parkhurst it's a buzzing community, so there's that sense of community, and it's also a lot of commerce. And what they're trying to do with this avenue, it's a lifestyle and shopping little experience, so that's good. So weekends are buzzing, families, animals, shopping and money.
I just love this kind of side of Joburg, you know, the inner ring. It feels Cape Townian almost, I suppose, yeah.
We're in the neighborhood, and right now we're talking to the ward councillor. Was it you that I saw riding in on an electric bike?
Not today, not riding in, but I definitely have one.
Talk to me about the whole vibe about Parkhurst. Young families, young professionals. What do you see as the very heart of Parkhurst?
There's been a big change. There's, I think the property crash, the problem we had in about 2007, 2008, it meant that it was more difficult to sell, buy houses, and people were less mobile. So what happened is the newlyweds had kids, and they stayed because it was difficult to move away. And what has happened since then has been a revolution in the suburb, because the parks are much better used. You're seeing residents now walking up to the coffee shops, buying their bread from the bakery, using the shops, using the kind of unique coffee shops that we have on 4th Avenue as meeting places to meet other families, other people, business meetings. You want to meet me? We meet a place like where we are now at the Common Room, or we meet in 4th Avenue, one of the coffee shops.
Tell me what else is going on in the commercial space. What are people thinking of doing and bringing into Parkhurst?
There's some very trendy shops that are staying. You know, a shop would come and go in every 6 months, but now you're seeing shops and decor shops and design shops. Gift shops are staying, for several years and are continuing to thrive, because I think you're getting people coming into the neighbourhood who are brought in by the restaurants, and then you do some shopping as well.
Tell me about what's going on with enhancing the infrastructure to cater to the yuppies, for want of another term.
It's not just yuppies, it's everybody.
Okay.
I'm a dinky. It embraces that whole, I suppose, cross-section of people, and it's really exciting. Early this year, the Residents Association came together, who are going to put in fibre optic cable in every single street in Parkhurst, and we'll bring it to every single home.
What is the magic of Parkhurst? What keeps people here? What makes it so aspirational? And what makes it just a gem investment when people buy in?
Well, I mean, Parkhurst, back when it was started, was actually a working class suburb, and you speak to somebody from the 70s and 80s and they go, Parkhurst? But of course, it's exactly what people want now. They want a lock-up-and-go lifestyle. They want a small property. It doesn't cost you a fortune. They want the proximity to Rosebank, which Rosebank is now doubling in size, basically. Gautrain is just up the road. You've got the Braamfontein Spruit on your doorstep. On the other side of the valley is Delta Park, Zoo Lake's around the corner. And quite honestly, what we're really trying to do is try and embrace this neighborhoodness of the whole area, where you can walk. You don't have to take a car, you can go on a bicycle, you can go on a walk, you can walk your dog in the park and meet all your friends, and the dog can meet all his friends. And I reckon you won't be able to buy a house in Parkhurst, because who wants to give that up?
So we've just had the fly-through, we've seen the great visuals of Parkhurst. What are you feeling about the area now?
Same as I mentioned to you before, Kura. It's quite evident from the clip that you've shown, the vibe and the energy, and the community and the village that Aidan and Mark spoke of, and also that great strip being 4th Avenue of the cafes and restaurants.
Aidan, a fortune of work for you there, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can see a lot of young and up-and-coming households with a nice sort of educated outlook on design. So a lot of people would want to be uplifting their homes and be introducing a new aesthetic into their homes. Jens, I don't know about you, but one of my favorite things that I can see from that neighborhood is that you wouldn't find a massive supermarket or restaurant chain. It's all little boutique stores which are family-run, operated, which gives a lovely feeling or vibe into the area.
Mark, you weren't in any of the shots. I checked.
No, I wasn't in any of those shots. But the energy in there that comes from the cosmology. Can I say cosmology?
New word, we're allowed to invent.
Cosmology. It's today's word of just everyone from everywhere, young and old, and as you said, the vibey.
After the break, We're going to take a look at one of our viewers' homes and find out what it's worth and figure out what he needs to do to get the most value out of his property.
Looking for a new home? In Woodstock, Hillcrest, Parkhurst, Potchefstroom, Observatory, we are the home loan specialists in every area.
Welcome back to Show House. We got an email from a young gentleman by the name of Michael who has an interesting dilemma on his hands. Hi guys, I've recently inherited a property and need some advice on what to do with it. It's a modern double-story house in a secure complex in Lone Hill Fourways. It's quite big with 4 bedrooms, 2.5 bathrooms, 4 reception rooms, and a really fantastic bar area. The kitchen has granite counters and there's a separate scullery, a swimming pool and a jacuzzi, and an enclosed sunroom patio area. The garage is tiled and has an automated double door, so the property really has all the bells and whistles one could ask for. On top of it, there's a staff quarters and a beautifully maintained garden, a fireplace with underfloor heating. As a young man of 27 years old, I worry about the maintenance cost of a house like this and whether I should move in and live there, rent it out, or sell the property and buy something I can afford to live in and maintain. Please help me on what would be the most feasible option and why. Ryan, I'm going to kick off with you. Fourways, Lone Hill. Tell me a little bit about the node.
Lone Hill is one of those lifestyle suburbs. You know, some great parks. There's the Lone Hill Koppies. You can go for a walk. You can go for a hike. Also, in property terms, offers great value for money. It's a safe suburb. Also, strong Lone Hill Residents Association, as well as being close to the new Fourways precinct, the main arterials, the highways. Offers a good lifestyle.
Mark, Lone Hill, lonely?
Yes, the name says it, doesn't it? Some names, you sometimes hear a name. Sometimes you can be sold on a name, can't you?
27-year-old, 4-bedroom house.
Yep.
I saw the jacuzzi.
Yes.
I put...
Yep, there's a lot of flutes and whistles there that he can get going. A lot of other rooms that he can use if he's not using them. Convert those rooms, use the available space. He's in a quandary. Should I let it? Should I sell it? Should I sell off the room? Should I timeshare the room? There's lots of options there. I think.
Aidan, I thought I saw a twinkle in your eye as you're seeing how the property is laid out, the flow. What ideas were popping in your creative head right there?
Look, I think it's a very attractive house with a lot of potential. Some of the favorite shots to me was the outside area, that pool area. I don't think it's badly furnished. In terms of my point of view, if a new sale is going to be done, leave it furnished because people always have difficulty in visualizing the space if it's unfurnished. I think there's some pieces that could be taken out, for example, the green shag rug underneath the coffee table. And I think just generally opening those curtains up, allowing the great lights that's coming in and really trying to upsell the space.
Ryan, property is, there's horses for courses. There's an appropriate property for you at an appropriate time.
Sure.
He's 27 years old. A 4-bedroom house seems a bit of a mismatch. What should he be considering as a vibey 27-year-old in Joburg?
Look, I think his personal financial situation needs to be taken into account. He mentioned that he inherited the property, so he doesn't have to go out now and factor transfer duty in for a new purchase, as well as commission when it comes to sale. So I think that's what it boils down to. In terms of the maintenance costs that he's concerned about, there's maintenance costs in various properties, and I think it boils down to what his personal financial situation is like right now.
Mark, if I gave you a house at 27, what would you have done with it?
27? Well, Aidan, you'd have taken the shag out the lounge, you said. I think
the rug.
The shag rug. Not like a good shag in the lounge, but I would think sometimes things that one puts in a house that you think is going to be an asset can actually end up costing quite a lot of money, like a jacuzzi. The upkeep on a jacuzzi is a bit of a worry. It's jacuzzi, a swimming pool. I would get rid of the jacuzzi. I'd keep the shag and get rid of the jacuzzi.
Okay. So, gentlemen, it's time to play Price That Property. We have seen the property, we've had a look at it, you understand what it's about, you got a board in front of you. I'm going to need you to put down a number. Mark Banks, not your number. No. I want a number on what you think thank you. Clean, transparent.
Clean.
Thank you very much.
All
right. Tell me what you think the property is worth. We do have a valuation that was done by Jarvis Properties. I know we had Chinese walls. You don't know what their value is. And we'll see who gets closest to the pin on this one. If our viewers want to participate and they're following us on @thehomechannelSA, the hashtag is price that property. Mark, I don't want an average, I don't want a graph, I just want a number. Right? Before we take a look at the results that are hot off the presses, we're going to go into an ad break. We'll see you on the other side of it.
Looking for a new home in Langebaan, Kloof, Soweto, Hartbeespoort, Nelspruit? We are the home loan specialists in every area.
Welcome back. So far today, we've checked out the funky suburb of Parkhurst. We've helped one of our viewers decide what he should do with an inherited property. And now it's time to find out which of our panel members came closest to the valuation of Michael's Lone Hill inheritance. Gentlemen, can I have a number from you?
Sure. I said 3.5.
3.5 million rand is my first offer.
In a down market and priced realistically, strictly come house pricing, 2,225,000.
2.2. Your precision is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
We will see.
Right. Can you help me, Aidan?
Yeah, sure. I didn't get the opportunity to phone a friend, so I went for 2.8 million.
2.8 million. All right, the number we came in at, or the valuers at Jarvis Properties came in at, was 3.7 million bucks. What can you see that we can add value to this property to get to that kind of a number, Aidan?
One of the primary things for me is there's the flooring. These dated sort of slate tiles really, antiquate the space. I think you could really modernize either by laying, nice glass porcelain or carpeting all the.
Mark, if you were the agent selling my house and you came in at a 2.225 valuation,
yes,
I think I'd have fired you, mate.
Well, I'm just going from the visual. I haven't actually physically been there to the house. It does need quite a lot doing to it to sort of make it worthwhile, and it is in a cluster.
I think the fact that it's in a cluster is a positive.
Is it?
Absolutely. They tend to attract a premium with a sense of security. Also what drives the value these days is the shortage of stock and the demand exceeding the supply.
Mm-hmm. Now explain that to me. There's always the expression buyer's market, seller's market. Help me understand what those terms mean, right?
Well, traditionally in a buyer's market, the market would be flooded with a lot of stock and a lot of choice so they could be picky. In this particular market that we're in, there is a shortage of stock available. There's good demand. The banks have started to lend again. People are getting bonds, so they're committing themselves as opposed to sitting on the fence, and that's what tends to drive the values.
If we were looking at putting a tenant in this property, what are the durable but still attractive features that you would advise Michael to put in the property?
I think you'd leave some of his primary furniture items, like the lounge suite and the dining room table. I think remove all the personal items. So, for example, the photographs and pictures of his family and those sort of items, because they really tend to sort of create this idiosyncratic personality in the space. So anything that's generic and sort of non-personal, leave in the space. And the things like the green shag rug, definitely take out.
All right. I'm not going to talk about the green shag rug with you again, Mark. But we've got a home for it with you.
Thank you. We found a home. So I was only out by 1.7 million.
Nothing serious, mate.
Nothing serious, except you wouldn't have got the mandate on that one.
No, I wouldn't.
No.
Sorry.
All right, I'm going to have to move on to take some of our viewers' questions. So, Michael, thanks for getting in touch with us. I hope we have helped you on deciding what to do with your amazing property. Viewer questions have come in. Many homeowners like Michael are sometimes unsure about buying or selling property. There's always that question that you forget to ask on the fine print or something you didn't quite read. The first question comes from Chris in Johannesburg, and he's asked, I'm thinking of buying my first property, but I've only got a 5% deposit saved up. Should I go for it now, or would it be better to wait until I have a more substantial deposit? The chicken and egg story, mate. Do you save up to buy the house that you want, or do you get in on the property ladder as soon as you can? How does a deposit affect the issue of financing your dream home?
Well, Cora, I would think that if he's got if he was able to secure a home loan, I would advise Chris to go ahead and purchase a property now. Like I mentioned earlier, in the current environment where there's a shortage of stock, with demand exceeding supply, the only thing that's going to happen is it's going to drive the prices up. And what Chris will find is by the time he has a substantial deposit, the market has outpriced him.
Our second question comes from Stephen, and he asks this. He says, hi guys, I live in Durban and currently don't own my own home. I've got a job offer up in Johannesburg in the Sandton area and was wondering what would be the best area to buy in if I decide to take up the job. I've got to make the move. I've got a budget of about 1.2 to 1.5 million. What would you say about that?
He's a single.
Let's impute that he's single.
He's single, but I just asked that, has he got a view to bringing up a family eventually, or will he be settling down with a family? Because that's quite important.
It is important, you know, especially in terms of your budget. You could probably get a decent one-bedder in the Sandton vicinity for in that price range, but if he's got a family and he needs more bedrooms, then he's going to have to move further out.
So it's always about what do you need as a person, what are your needs, what can you afford, what do you need to be near.
Absolutely.
So we're building up that property strategy.
Accommodation, proximity to where he needs to be, and ultimately budget.
Is there an app where you can go in and you can say, this is how much I've got, and you go da-da-da, and something springs up of an area with dots on it where you can buy for 1.2 to 1.5 if you're single and you're looking for, these are your options?
With everything, like when it's coming down to the financial elements and about the whole process of buying properties, SA Home Loans website always got great information, what's up, what's happening, great place. Mark, I'm going to defer to you as the wise young man. I'm never going to call you old on national TV.
Thank you.
The wise young man on my set.
Thank you.
You've been around for a day or two.
Yes.
Properties rise and properties fall. What's instinctive to you about buying versus renting?
Is it red or black on the roulette wheel? Is it? I've had lofts when no one had lofts. I've had flats. I've had places I've had everything everywhere, and I've been up and I've been down. One thing I do find now is that with technology the way it is, you can actually live anywhere really, with laptops and modems and blogs and bligs and Twitter, and you could actually run a multinational corporation from a cave in Neisner.
It's been done.
It has been done.
All right.
So I don't think it's really that important that you live in a city hub, as you would have had to have done 10, 15 years ago. You could be anywhere now.
So whatever space it is, you're going to need to customize it. And if we're talking about customization, let's take a look at our inspirational property of the week.
Meet Brad Clark, an architect and interior designer who recently built and is in the process of refining his dream green home on a small holding outside of Johannesburg.
Being a designer, I didn't want to do a stock standard house, obviously, and I wanted to personalize it to our taste and to our family and the way we live and how we want to live. I did it completely the wrong way around to what you taught. I designed the house and then went looking for a site for it, where normally the formal instructed way of doing it is find the site and then design your house according to that.
The striking steel, glass and concrete design Brad implemented came about not just because it's the aesthetic he prefers, but rather because these materials are more eco-friendly in the long run when compared to a traditional brick and mortar house.
So once we finished living in here, pretty much the whole house can be taken apart and either reassembled somewhere else or can be recycled. The house is probably about 95% recyclable, pretty much everything that we've put in it, although some of the products at face value seem very unfriendly to the environment, like all the steel. But in terms of recyclability, it's almost 100% recyclability.
The modular, prefabricated steel structure used for the bulk of the house served two purposes. It minimized waste during the build, and it helped keep costs manageable. Brad's home is quite small by modern standards. The two steel modules, comprising the living area downstairs and the bedrooms upstairs, measure only 108 square meters each. The house was kept small not because there wasn't space to build bigger, but to keep within the overall design philosophy of the home.
When building an eco-friendly house, the best rule that you can adhere to is build as small as you can. Build only what you need. It doesn't matter how eco-friendly your materials are or where you're sourcing them or how you're building it. The biggest thing and the biggest contribution you can do is make that footprint as small as possible.
It's the simple things that can make such a huge difference. That's it for this week on Show House. Don't forget, if you'd like us to evaluate your property, or if you've got any questions regarding the buying or selling of your home, email us the pictures and your questions to showhouse@thehomechannel.co.za. For what's happening, follow Home Channel SA on Twitter as well as Facebook with the hashtag Showhouse. From me and the team here, it's It's been great having you. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.
You too. You stole my heart, so I'm gonna steal you for the first time in weeks.